All right, welcome back to the podcast, Loose Lugnut TV here on the YouTube. Hopefully my settings are a little bit better. Like I said, in general, from the first podcast back, not what I used to have. I used to live in a townhouse, condo, whatever you want to call it, and had a whole room dedicated to all this. Now, the back of a 44-foot trailer and some janky internet. But again, back here with Katie Dugas. Say hi, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
All right, we had two guests lined up here this evening, but we'll be down to one due to someone's inability to use normal Microsoft. But here we go into this podcast now. We are in the final week here, the summer series, so we'll get into that here. We'll be talking all about every series and our champions. Let's start with our champion of the Truck and Xfinity series, and a man who isn't a fan of getting interviewed, Kyle Chadwick, points champ yet again. Well, not yet again, but back to back here during the summer season. What a show he put on, and the ability for him to race every race. He's had multiple wins in the trucks, showed up every race, finished extremely well in the Xfinity series. Don't think he garnished a win there in the Xfinity side, but at the same point, spectacular Thursday and Saturday showing from him. Now, with the summer season, our admin group and our owner, John Hedrick, the idea was to see new blood and, maybe not necessarily go over the top with points and champions and all that, but it's good to note. However, it was all about the rookies in my mind, seeing what they could do, and just some standouts, obviously, Corey Blevins, and that 200 machine, Chris Shaw, Chief Shaw's, we've been calling him Topper, obviously, Topper Dugas, Tony Romack, and I'm sure there's a couple more, John Henderson, let's see, Tyler Brandon Needham, those guys, rookies on the Sunday Cup Series. It's been extraordinary watching them, and, Katie, we talk about rookies so much because with every swing of seasons here at Loose Lugnuts, we try to get a better idea of how drivers go and what tracks they successfully run at, because we do broadcast these things. We want to have the best showing possible. However, these rookies have really stepped up, really committed to where they need to be. From a rookie driver in your own household, talk about the commitment needed to get to that point of getting a full-time number and being comfortable on the asphalt.
When Top started out, we kept hearing this wheel time, seat time, and it resorts back so much to actual life racing. I mean, these guys put in so many hours, whether they're actually racing one of our series races or even if they're just playing around in practice. You see a lot of them saying, hey, I'm going to throw up a practice. Let's go in, hang out. They start to get an idea of how each other races. Then, when it comes down to a particular move in a race, they might know how that person's going to run. Getting these newer guys in here, yes, it definitely brings some new faces to the series, and I'm sure it puts on so much better of a show at home. Some of these guys who are just starting out in iRacing, whether it be dirt, asphalt, whatever, don't be afraid to jump in there. I mean, Loose Lugnuts is always looking for fresh faces. They're always looking to help people. So jump in, get your feet wet. I mean, put it out there. I'm sure any of these guys would be willing to help you out as much as they possibly can, to get you the help you need to advance in any of these series.
Yeah, all you got to do is ask, be it on the Facebook page, and like I always say, stay tuned into the Facebook page. That's where you're going to get all the info possible for Loose Lugnuts. Like I said, 90% of the info goes through the Facebook page, Loose Lugnuts. So that's there. Keep an eye on that. We just had some announcements we'll cover. I believe we got the idea of the summer season ending, which will go into a preseason, which I've never officially put forward in any aspect. But so there's 4 preseason races. Not sure what those are about. It's probably just to keep drivers interested. At least that's my hope, because I thought the summer series was based on getting those drivers to that point rather than making that there. So we'll see how that goes with preseason. The actual winter season coming up, it's going to be posted up probably by Friday. And next week, we may even be talking to the series admin, Ronald Klein, about that summer, or excuse me, winter season. But keeping it on the trucks and Xfinity side real quick, other standout drivers other than our rookies. I got some notes here. Justin Michael with a few wins. Mitchell Reeves turns around in the truck series in back-to-back weeks. I think gets a couple wins. We mentioned Kyle Chadwick. He has a couple wins in those truck divisions with that championship. Kevin Winter, who we were supposed to talk tonight, one win. A rookie driver out there, Daniel Smallwood, who we didn't see at the end of the season. He has a win. Mark Jackson, and obviously Randy Arms in West Holland with a win. Randy Arms starting to heat up his asphalt side of things here at Loose Lugnuts, looking really good going into the winter series. Xfinity side, a guy you're probably going to have to look out for come the winter side of it, and the defending, or past at least at this point now, Jeff Merck. He had 2 wins on the Xfinity side. Justin Michael, as long as he shows up to races, will continue to win races. He's got 4 wins on the Xfinity side. James Lehman with 3. Now, all this going down, just honorable mention names out there. Trent Drum really dedicated himself to the Xfinity side. Thank you, Trent. Just one of the non-normal guys out there that we always talk about. Judd Danielson continues to himself dedicate to Thursday, Saturday, Sunday where he can. We'll be going into that. However, tonight's race, Katie, we got the Cup cars at Atlanta. Gilmore's likely to win this thing, the championship. He's up by 42. So, with that said, you got any standout or possible look at tonight's race?
I was watching a little bit of practice, and if this is anything like Thursday night or Saturday night, this car was so slick. I heard a lot of the guys saying it was like driving on black ice. Kind of watched top practice a little bit last night, and he said these cars are a little bit easier to drive. I don't think we're going to see near as many cautions tonight as we did on Thursday and last night because, like I said, I'm hoping these cars are just a little bit easier.
Yeah, and they definitely could be. We saw Thursday Dover, the trucks at Dover. We had about 5 cautions there. Um, we went into Sunday and had 2 cautions. So with a loose track and a tight car, which we find the Cup car being at times, you could find a nice balance there. That's the goal. Inevitably, we saw Kyle Chadwick close out his championship run on the broadcasted side of things on Thursday at Atlanta. What a race that was for him. Now, I know Top didn't have such a good time with trucks, neither did Andrew Feston, but there could be a Jeff Gilmore I would love to see win a race. He may not be the fastest guy out there, he's but the most consistent guy and the guy that stays out of the trouble. That's why he will be, in my mind at least, with 42 points up, the Cup Series champion. He's going to be there at that time. Uh, so look for that. You're probably listening to this on a Monday morning. Thank you for tuning in for the past one. This is all info about Loose Lugnuts. So moving on past the Cup Series, which will be tonight. Catch that on ASN as always. Let's talk about the what we were going to talk about with Kevin Winter. The Bump and Run series. Katie, you've been involved for the past couple weeks here, being an admin in the booth, seeing what's going on. We got, I believe, 1 race down, 7 to go. It's going to be fun. We're going to Concord next. How different is it seeing the super late on dirt and super late on the which we haven't had in a while here at Loose Lugnuts on the asphalt side?
Totally different ball game. I mean, seeing these guys on some of these short tracks, I was really thinking some of these dirt guys would roll over a little bit better on the super late model and asphalt, but I definitely was wrong there. I mean, you're still seeing a lot of your big guys. Jeff Merck actually came out and won it last week. You had Chris Shaw running right up there. Our very own Matt Egan ran 3rd in that race. And it ended up being all about a fuel strategy. So I'm wondering if they think ahead on this, or, if it's just something you just try to go out there and keep your nose clean yet again. But it's definitely exciting to see, the higher powered cars just on such small tracks like this.
Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, obviously, with doing a lot of adminning myself in the past here at Loose Lugnuts with the short tracks, that's what the league grew up on. We evolved into the trucks and whatnot. It's good to see the short tracks back, but as the dirt guys coming over, my feeling towards that is dirt guys can use tires galore, not putting tires on their car, but being able to run multiple grooves, full speed, full out. If you put that down and getting sideways on the asphalt, you're using tires like crazy. That right front just peels off the car sometimes, especially during braking and whatnot. You can always see those brake rotors glow in the past. It's a little bit different, and I think we'll see adapture. It came down to fuel strategy and the ability to put in fuel. I believe how much you put in, the amount of time you spend on pit road is totally different. Watch out for that though, guys. If you're trying to go over to that super late model and you are forced to pit during these sessions, you need to be aware that it takes about 21 seconds to put 4 tires and 21 gallons of fuel into that race car. Always be aware of that, especially during caution scenarios. You don't want to be lapped during caution. All right, so, you know, I think it's a good thing to cover this bump and run. I love the name carried over from long times past there. Uh, we got, like you said, interesting competition. We'll see how that evolves. I don't know if people are asking why are we bringing it back. What's the ultimate goal of this series? Those are questions we'll probably cover in depth better with Kevin Winter, who's the admin for that division. We'll see how that goes in his future. This is the first time I'm hearing Kevin Winter admin at least a series, so we'll go on to that. Just be prepared for Concord. That's a tricky turn 3, 4 there. It's a lot about braking, how you get into that corner. Uh, good, good to see some new drivers out there this coming Tuesday. Remember, it's on the sessions, guys. It won't be under hosted like the practice races. It'll be under Loose Lug Nut sessions at normal times. All right. And again, moving on here on our list of things to talk about this week on the Loose Lug Nut TV podcast, we're going to go ahead and move on to our guest here of the evening, Matt Egan, and get to talking with him. You got a copy here, Matt.
That I do.
All right. Well, you've been listening to us talk for a little bit here. Now, we got an ASN exclusive here coming up in the winter season here at Loose Lug Nuts Racing. Talk about, your what you see and how, and if John has even shown you the schedule, or you just sign up and say, "This is me. I'm going forward here at Loose Lug Nuts."
Well, the whole partnership we actually kind of developed back around the start of this summer season. So I didn't know what the season's going to be for the winter, what the schedule was going to be at the time, but uh we were talking about, what we want to do for broadcasting and stuff, and you said, "Well, how about we do a an exclusive partnership?" I said, "Okay, that sounds really good." I thought that was a good idea. So we agreed to it, and that's what we've got set up in place. And at the time, I didn't know what the schedule was going to be, but looking at what's coming out to us and coming out to the drivers, as I'm seeing it at the same time, I'm not getting anything sooner than anyone else, but I'm seeing it about the same time. I'm actually really liking what I'm seeing, and it looks like a whole lot of fun. I can't wait for it to kick off.
Yeah, and we'll be kicking off here. I believe the winter season starts October 10th. The preseason to that being September 4th. This is all top of my head. You can find that information on the Facebook page. Gosh, I am hitting that. Remember, Facebook page Loose Lug Nuts Racing. All right, so Matt, me, you, Katie, we've all been doing this broadcasting here through ASN, and we each got our own individual thing. Katie's got Pit Pass now, and I'm working with the Lugnut TV podcast again. We all got our own little things, and we all have our own little story about how did we hear of Loose Lugnuts? What's your story of how you came upon Loose Lugnuts? Did John find you, or were you, doing a little bit of driving at the time?
Well, it was last fall. It was the last fall season, if I'm remembering that correctly, and I'm hoping I am. But I believe it was Ronald that actually came to me and said, "We're looking for a broadcaster for the Xfinity series on Saturday night." And at the time, I didn't have a Saturday series. So I was like, okay, why not? And it was a good season. It was actually a little bit rough uh, uh, from the standpoint of just getting into the swing of things because I was actually going through uh, switching over a co-announcer and whether or not he was staying on. So we were going through a few different things on our end. But we did that season, and then things went really well. So he said, "Hey, truck season," and then now it's progressed to where we are now. It's the trucks and the truck and the cup, and in the fall, of course, it's going to be all three of them, which is going to be really awesome.
Yeah, and so you've got like a full plate, and on top of it, I just seen you recently get back on to driving that super late model series. I know Katie mentioned your third place finish in that. Uh, how is it, getting behind the wheel rather than, doing a push to talk scenario here on the podcast or on ASN? Just, rather than your normal talking, get behind that wheel again. Is that like a big difference? Do you find yourself with less seat time now?
Well, yeah, definitely. Since I've been doing this broadcasting thing, I've been scaling back on the amount I've actually been racing, simply due to not having the time. Broadcast Monday night, Friday with dirt, and then Thursday, Saturday, and well, not Saturday this summer, but Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I haven't had the time to race, but I've done it when I can. It's really fun to race with these guys. Of course, the benefit to broadcasting, I mean, you kind of know how they race. You can pick up on some of that stuff pretty quickly because you see it week in and week out, and you know their style and everything like that, which is a big help to me. But I really enjoy it, and it's really a lot of fun to be able to get back behind the wheel and actually do some racing instead of talking for a change.
Yeah, now most people don't know this, Matt, but you're going into your senior year of high school. Matt's a young broadcaster, and we're excited to see where his future goes, even if it may not be in broadcasting. But you have somewhat extended that to your local track. You've been able to, announce some at your local track. What track is that?
It was at New Egypt Speedway. I was really thankful for the opportunity to be able to have done it, and it was a whole lot of fun to do. I got to announce the street stock races and for a little bit the four cylinders, but uh, you know how things go and things are not forever, unfortunately, and unfortunately that ended very recently. But it was a whole lot of fun while it lasted. It was probably one of the coolest experiences I've had in my life is being in the announcer's booth and seeing the cars go around the track and actually being able to talk about it for real, which is it's just awesome.
Yeah, in my mind, as doing fire rescue for so many years at my local track, yours, New Egypt, which we will probably get to see during this dirt season. I think it may even be this coming week. I might be wrong. So it's on the schedule in my mind, at least. Uh,
Unfortunately, New Egypt isn't on iRacing. I wish it was.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm thinking of a different track. But yeah, New Egypt. I've seen a ton of crash videos. I can't remember the newscaster there in your local area that used to do those crash videos. I know he still posts to YouTube once in a while, but
He
he's
he's
focused.
still at the track. Big Jim. I forgot what his last name
Yeah,
is, but
Big
Big Jim
Jim.
Video
Hmm.
Productions. He's still at the track. He's a really cool guy. I've gotten to talk to him a few times. Really nice guy. Really down to earth. Everyone at that track. Like I said, it was an amazing experience, and I couldn't be more thankful to have done it. But again, things don't last forever, and it's how it goes.
Yep. So there's a lot of correlation. Like I said, it's hard to watch a race from a different perspective once you've found your favorite way to watch a race. Uh, I mean, going to NASCAR races can be fun, especially like you talked about going up to New York and to Watkins Glen. You always go to the same spot, or at least try to view the race from your favorite viewing spot. To me, that's from the infield to your home track. Matt, can you not watch it from the stands anymore? Because I can't.
No, my favorite spot at New Egypt was up in the booth, that's for sure. But my other favorite spot there was I got to film some stuff, so down on the infield, which is just amazing to be in. being right that close to the action is such a cool feeling when the cars go right by you. You're like 2 feet away from them. You're like, wow.
All right. So we'll be diving in a little bit here to Pit Pass after we excuse Matt. But again, go ahead and rep out your schedule here, Matt. Let us know Monday through Sunday what you got going on, as it is mostly Loose Lugnuts. But go ahead and mention Anarchy there.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say Monday night we got actually the only league that we broadcast that isn't Loose Lugnuts is Anarchy Motorsports Cup Series. Though with the amount of drivers coming over from there, it may as well be affiliated at this point. We got Randy Arms joining over, and having some fun with us. But we broadcast Anarchy Motorsports Cup Series. They follow the real Cup Series schedule, which is a really cool thing because Monday we get to watch what they race. And it follows what the real guys do. We actually don't have a broadcast this week because the Real Cup Series is off. Friday night's Loose Lugnuts Dirt Racing Series, which is always some good fun. We just actually had one of the big races this Friday. We actually had to run heat races, and it was really cool to see that. Heat races where drivers got eliminated. Thursday is the Truck Series. Saturday night Xfinity Series coming up in the winter, and then Sunday night Cup Series, which we'll be getting to in a little bit for our championship night, which should be some good fun. So, I know this isn't going out live, but do go back and watch that on ASN.
Yep, most of the stuff you can find on ASN. Well, again, Matt, quick little talk to you. I hope people get an interesting feeling towards you. And click on that. We tried to share all the time ASN through, the pages I'm affiliated to. John does the same. We try to get ASN out there. We'll be continuing to get ASN out there. But again, thanks for coming on. We'll be back with you a little bit later here tonight, like I said, doing the live thing. But till then, Matt, thanks again.
Yeah, have a great one. I'll see you in a little bit, and thank you so much for having me on. Awesome to be on.
All right. Well, we're going to move over to the dirt side of things and talk about that. Matt may have mentioned it, like he said, covering it on Friday nights. We saw the first time, I think, since the last series, Katie. At one point, Matt said that people were eliminated in B mains there that night because that's how many drivers logged in at their attempt. I had this nailed down here in somewhat fashion of 3 weeks with 3 winners. You know, there's been some up and down participation, but that really provides some excitement. You don't see the same guys week to week winning. What do you got on that, Katie?
Definitely some shakeups in names. I mean, some of your original guys are still going to be there, but if you take a look at week 1, 2, and 3, the amount of pro drivers that we have had show up. I mean, we've had Weavers, we've had Cardwells, we've had Caprons. I mean, just the amount and caliber of driver are just absolutely amazing to me. Jeremy Capron is definitely your standout driver. Our first week he finished third, second week he finished second, and last week he brought home the win over Blake Brown. So definitely a really big name there. And like he said, you're seeing more and more drivers come in, and I think it's only going to get better. We're only entering week 4. Yes, this is only an 8-week series, but there's still some opportunity to get in there and get your name really out there.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll be going over the points here in a second. Not necessarily to the driver because, certain drivers show up every week and that's their eligibility and they get the full amount of points. I'll talk about my idea on that. I'm glad you bring out that standout driver because that's like a great progression for a driver who shows up week 1, cracks that top 3, then steadily moves up week to week. We like to see that here at Loose Lugnuts, showing up also. But have you seen like a treble track here in the schedule to where drivers just can't do it, despite even if they're pros or rookies? Like I'll compare it to Bristol with the Loose Lugnut guys. It is just terrible to go there sometimes. The Peak Antifreeze series hadn't gone there in quite a many years due to the amount of cautions. Who wants to see a caution race? The Cup Series during the winter fall season actually got 25 cautions over 250 laps, and that was one of the hardest nights to broadcast ever. Is there a type of track like that on the dirt schedule, or in past and right now?
Well, we've seen them in the past, and I hate to say it, but we're going to see it in a couple weeks. These guys are going to go to Williams Grove, and to me, that track just, oh, it's a pain. And, some of these guys who might not run every week, I think they might have the same trouble.
That's the track I was thinking of, over New Egypt when we were talking to Matt there. So, Williams Grove, if you don't know, it's a skinny little track with like almost 90-degree corners in my mind. Sprint car drivers during the dirt season here on the iRacing side, not Loose Lugnuts League, just absolutely, I've seen every time they go to Williams Grove, the iRacing pages on Facebook just light up like, well, setups. You got to set up here. Anyone know the points at entry? Now the super late models here on dirt probably going to act in the same way. It really comes down to sometimes a track, unfortunately. Maybe Brandon Thornhill with the scheduling in the future sees this. We just need consistent races to see how the drivers go through it. We'll avoid that in the future, but at the same time, like short tracks, it's not like going. You can't sometimes exclude a track because of the limited amount. So we got that coming up. Remember, Friday nights, American Thunder Super Late Model Dirt Series going on. That is heck of a fun to watch. I missed this last Friday myself, watching it with Katie on the broadcast there with Matt Egan on ASN. So uh, before we move on the dirt thing, I have a couple ideas for Brandon, who hopefully we'll be talking to, like I mentioned a couple times. Get him in here, talk about his admin side on the dirt things, what he has in mind for it versus what maybe our leader John Hedrick does. So that's the idea on that. With talking to Brandon, I think personally, going forward, as long as we see somewhat, I wouldn't say a struggle of drivers week to week, but an ill consistency of the same guys, going to a road course style points, like you get 6 points for winning second through fifth, gets 3 points. Sixth through 10th gets 2. Everyone after that gets 1. That way you don't have such a huge discrepancy. Also throwing in bonus points for 0 incidents or the pole position, stuff like that. We'll have to see how that develops going forward. Who knows? That's just my idea. Tell me how you think about that there in the comment sections if you want to, or on the Facebook page where we post this on Monday morning. All right, so Katie, ASN with Pit Pass, you cover all the stuff, ASN. A little bit interesting thing this week, you did a little live-ish interview there. Tell us about that.
Well, you see, what had happened was we were actually getting ready to go help Chris West, who drives with us some on the dirt side, and we've actually seen him appear on the asphalt side. Todd was going to go help him finish up his motor, and I was like, what happens if we try to throw a live interview? Maybe throw a wrench in things and just bring a different aspect to it. We kind of walked up and I threw him under the bus super fast. He had no idea what we were doing. And I said, let's make this fun. So, we're going to try to get Loose Lugnuts out there even bigger than it is. This has the potential to be such a huge league. I mean, it's big now, but this can only go up from here. And throwing in these fun little interviews like that, it's going to attract attention. And when people see things like that, yeah, they might giggle or maybe say, "Oh, that's crazy." But it makes you remember and, might bring some drivers over and say, "Hey, I want to try it. They seem fun." But like I said, don't be afraid to jump in. These guys are more than welcoming. We always want to see new people. But yeah, it was, like I said, it was definitely a little shake up. It was fun, and I'd love to find new ways to work that in every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, you can only interview so many people live based on who you have around you, but it's good to see that it, like you said, it was a little bit of shake up. I'm like, what is she doing? It was fun to see because it's a different aspect. If you notice Pit Pass there, Katie links it all the time there. She's got her own Facebook page for it, but she links it into the rooms that we monitor and whatnot. Loose Lug Nuts Racing, Anarchy, that type of deal going on. Uh, your style is a long coverage. You go over pretty good notes to make your pit pass segment normally. Long-winded, you would say, like for a person who talks a lot. That's your idea, and it's very well detailed. Why that type of detail that you want to put in rather than like a sports page coverage on ESPN where you're like, yeah, they won, but how did they win?
You know, in the few months that I've seen Top Race, I've seen a lot of guys who might not actually race in real life that, this is their sport. They're not going to see their name headline on ESPN. They're not going to see their name in lights on a local track. So if they could get, even 2 or 3 mentions in a little article, and, social media is obviously the key to the world. So they can share it out among family and friends who might be across country, across the state, however, and just to see their names get in there. And I try to shoot as many pictures as I can if I'm in the live feed, and it just gives them something to share with, say their fans, people who might watch up to them. And yes, it's detailed, yes, it's long-winded, but like I said, I try to give every possible driver that I can their chance in the spotlight. Even though they might not win the race, they're still going to get some kind of recognition. But that's where it all stems from.
See, I like if I didn't view the race and maybe I'm a reader more than a watcher for YouTube. Some people are like that. Don't know how many left there are in the world, but it's sometimes easier to see it. But at the same time, you want to run down and just you know find the full race detail without trying to click through a YouTube video. And ASN presented with Pit Pass there. Pit Pass has the number for it, has the ability to get you markers from lap 1 to lap whatever we finish at. It's good reading, Katie, always. And like I said, that little live segment, yeah, Chris was a little bit off key there, right there in front of the car. It's nice to see it. You put yourself out there too on yourself. Mentioned you just being this quiet little person. Now you're doing that, so it's a quick evolution for you. We like it. So always stay tuned into Pit Pass. Like I said, check them out there on the Facebook page. Give it a follow. That way you stay tuned to anything related with ASN and whatever Katie decides to cover. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up here tonight. About double the length of last week's. Hopefully they get a little bit into the hour, not past the hour sessions when we have multiple interviews to do and they don't back out, Kevin Winter. So we'll be on to that. Like I said, what's up for the next podcast? Uh, I want to probably a guy we don't get to talk to a lot, Jeff Gilmore. Like I said, Mr. Steady there. Gonna win the championship tonight as long as he logs in and puts down a lap. I don't foresee 43 drivers, so there's that. Talking with Ronald Klein maybe about the upcoming winter and what the preseason all about. I'm a little bit confused on that myself. Hopefully he can clarify some of it. Brandon Thornhill maybe. I'm saying all these guys' names. I haven't talked to them yet about it at all, so they're probably gonna be like, well, at least I know ahead of time. We got that. Like I said, always stay tuned. We got Tuesday bump and run super late models on the short tracks. Thursday trucks. Friday dirt series. Saturday Xfinity. Sunday Cup. All that summer season, it's ending here tonight, but the preseason will be starting on September 4th. Still stuff to race, still stuff to do here inside of Loose Lugnuts. Katie, any final thoughts before we head into the Cup Series final tonight?
I had actually just pulled it up. It looks like September 5th will be your start for the trucks. The 7th will be the Xfinity, and the 8th will be the Cup cars. So just double checking there and getting that, in case anybody is a calendar person, which I am not. But from what I can understand, this preseason kind of gives us an idea of how these guys are going to run together. Say we bring in some newer faces, see how they run with these Lugnut guys, have a good attitude, race clean, and, I think this winter season is going to be huge.
Yep, it is always. Along with the Friday series right now, I believe John Hendrick will announce that the long winter series, which will probably be around 16 plus races, will have the ability to win a diecast as a champion. And who knows what some of the admins and contributors here at Loose Lugnuts Racing will throw in maybe some iRacing dollars there. I always try to give back into the league myself. See what I can do for the guys that put in a long season or amount of races, so to say, and for their accomplishments. We got that going on. Like I said, ending here tonight, we're about to open up practice for the Atlantic Cup Series finale for the summer season. Good luck to all those drivers here tonight, and thank you again for viewing this here with myself, Jeff Wood, and Katie Dugas. We'll see everyone hopefully next week. Get this ball rolling a little bit more, doing a podcast every week. We'll see how that turns out. Hope everyone has a good morning, good night, however you're viewing it, and we'll talk to you next time.